of them were scribbled notes and poems on heart-shaped cards, the messages written in biro or felt tip, the words smudged and stained during a week of frost and sleet and rain. One declared he'd made the world a better place. Another promised that his legend would go on. A third shared Pele's assessment of him as the greatest footballer and an honorary Brazilian. Those who brought them lingered a while afterwards and looked around them, as if trying to picture him there long ago. He'd been a football-obsessed lad whose shoes constantly fell apart because he couldn't stop kicking a ball, who slept with that ball next to pinned-up posters from Charles Buchan's Football Monthly in the back box room, and who always preferred to turn right after leaving the house because that way led him to the corner shop wall against which he thumped shots in umpteen hours of practice, and also to 3 1/4 acres of scruffy greenery where pretend cup finals were played with sweaters and coats for goalposts. He ran there in his first pair of boots because he liked the sound the studs made against the paving slabs. Every goal he scored was recorded on the leather, written in blanco with the end of a matchstick. He sold, gave away, or misplaced a lot of medals and memorabilia, but he always kept those boots, a reminder of the child he had once been. He'd pushed the Belfast Telegraph through neighbours' letterboxes for a few shillings a week to supplement his pocket money. He'd shred his father's copy after it was read, cutting out the match reports and stories and then fastidiously gluing them into a scrapbook, the thick, rough pages becoming ragged through constant turning. His father took scissors to that newspaper too. He saved some of the articles it subsequently printed about his son, putting his loose library in one of the bottom drawers of the same living room cabinet where the trophies were shown off. The Telegraph clippings, foxed, dust-dry and stiff at the edges with age, tell his early story. The waif who went across the water at 15, the teenager of supreme talent who transfixed and bewitched whoever saw him. The memorial edition of the Telegraph produced described him as his country's most famous son, and the splash headline, big white capitals on a lamp-black background, read, "God bless you." On a wintry Saturday, some of the foulest elements Mother Nature could muster were in collaboration, as if conspiring together to make sure Belfast was dressed appropriately in mourning for him. There was low, mottled cloud which refused to break above a thin fog that rested on the low peaks of the grassy hills in the middle distance, and a strong wind blew rain across the high-rise tenements and the blue-tiled roofs of the back-to-backs. The pouring rain gave a black glaze to the morning. The stacked clouds cast everything in a diffuse half-light. The whip of the wind bowed the leafless tops of spindly trees into semi-arches. Those lining the sodden streets to pay their respects fought against the damp and the shivering cold. Umbrellas were put up. Caps and hats and hoods were put on. Some had camped overnight. Others arrived with the dawn. There were 5,000 huddled on the pavements connecting Burren Way to North Bank. There were tens of thousands more, 20 to 30 deep in places, on the Cregger Road, the Upper Knockbreda Road, the Upper Newtownards Road, and the Knock Road. There were 17,000 more walking through the tall, urn-topped pillars of Stormont's iron gates, and trampling between the red-twigged limes and over the manicured rise of its grounds to queue beside the Royal Mile of Prince of Wales Avenue, a plumb-straight strip of tarmac that led to 60 wide steps and the symmetrical Georgian splendour of the Parliament building with its carved pediment and balcony and 6 Ionic columns of white Portland stone. Hymns and hallelujah eulogies awaited him inside the central hall, where the tallow gleam of chandeliers illuminated the gold and walnut-coloured marble. In a country blighted by the segregation of the Troubles, he had been a unifying presence. Irrespective of where you prayed on Sunday, you were proud of him, and prouder still to say he was your countryman, because he had brought some small relief from the barbed wire and the barricades and the checkpoints. He was resolutely non-political. Sectarianism